Video here as we have shifted gears into fantasy football after spending some time this morning speaking with the athletics director of Lemoyne College, Bob Beretta, about the NEC, the Northeast Conference that they moved into in their first season in Division One, and just what those some of those moves have been, the moves that have that have had institutions leave, as well as some moves to try and bring some institutions in, having that conversation about the state of the NEC, as well as having the conversation about the fall programs and the winter programs and the success that Lemoyne has already shown and things that they've already done. So I always appreciate having those conversations with Bob Beretta and appreciate his candidness and being so open to speak on so many different topics that are very pertinent to what's going on the Heights at Lemoyne and within the conference of the NEC as a whole. Also very much want to thank Dave Klein for joining the show, as he has for many, many years, but a unique way of joining the show today as he decided to step down from being the head coach of the football program at Cicero North Syracuse for the North Stars. So good to have that conversation and have that time together to speak on very unfortunate circumstances and times. So I do appreciate all of that, and I thank him for being open, for being honest, and for spending his time and trusting me to share the story in a very honest way and to dig through those layers with him. So I do appreciate that very much so. And now we're jumping into fantasy football, and the Fantasy Football in Focus is the name of the segment. Fantasy Football in Focus is proudly presented by the wonderful team at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, where we will be tomorrow, Thursday, November 16th, from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Wildcat on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, bringing GG Cards and Breaks sports card trade night on the road. And so typically the trade night is at GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Tomorrow it is going to be at the Wildcat Sports Pub for the first time ever, and we're going to have some fun, having some awesome food, hanging out with the community, buying, selling, and trading cards. So I very much look forward to that, and I always appreciate the Wildcat for all that they do 7 days a week. You can go to them on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, and you can also order takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. So make sure that you do that as well and support local. It is imperative to the growth and success of Central and Upstate New York for you to show love for local. So make sure that you do that. And we thank you all so very much. My hashtags that I created, hashtag support CNY and hashtag recruit New York, very important to my heart. And that is because I care about this community. So make sure you support local and show some love here in Central and Upstate New York. With that being said, it is week 11 of the NFL season. 2023-24 is the season we're in. The Falcons, the Colts, the Patriots, and the Saints are off for week 11, so please make that note in your rosters. If you do not make that note, well, then somebody playing up against you is going to feel like they have an easy week and potentially a wash week because you did not set your lineup. So make sure that you set your lineup, do what needs to be done, and handle your business in fantasy. My fantasy teams have been struggling. It has been beyond ridiculous and very much has upset me because my fantasy football teams seemingly, no matter what I do, my team does not get their point total up. It is very frustrating and very ridiculous, but I'm going to have to make some moves, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So I'm going to have to make some moves with my fantasy team. I have made moves over the season, but I'm going to have to make some more. As we are in crunch time, our playoffs in my leagues are going to be starting very soon, and I don't want to be left out of those postseason opportunities to win some of this great hardware that you see in my studio right over my shoulder. Those are 3 fantasy football championships, and those championships have come from 2014, so what is it, 2014-15, 2018-19 season, and most recently the 2020-21 season. So it's been a little bit, been a couple years, and we got to get back on the horse and win another fantasy football championship, and it is my job to help you in doing that. So let's get into it. Let's jump right into our fantasy football content. If you have a question along the way, as always, you know where to go. You're with us on audio and video, and so this is where you go after the show. But on audio and video, you can connect with us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and you can also go to facebook.com/wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connecting with the show, please make sure that you shoot us over your questions. Always appreciate your questions coming in, so send those off to us, and be happy to help you on our live broadcast. And if for some reason you didn't get to the show live today and you have a question, you can send those questions directly to me on social media on any one of our outlets. You could go to Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, or you can just respond to this specific video, or like I said, shoot me a message on any one of those social media platforms to let me know your question. So, because we did have a question come in on X, the former Twitter, on Sunday, and that was like close to game time, so I was able to answer that for you. But please make sure you send over your questions. The sooner the better, so that I can get to them, think about them, and be able to provide you an answer that I feel like has weight to it, so that I can help you with your fantasy football success. So always happy to do that. Love the questions that have come in from all over the place. So if you have a question, send it in to our YouTube, Facebook, or Podbean channels today. And while we're doing this live, I'll be happy to answer them. And if you're watching on playback, like I said, we'll be happy to answer those questions as well. So with that being stated, let's go right into it here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We always start from the top down. So whatever you see on your screen, that first game is the one that's all the way at the top and all the way down to Monday Night Football. So we're going to start with Thursday night, Cincinnati at Baltimore. I feel like this game just happened 5 seconds ago, but we're going to see it again. And, you know, it does. When Baltimore plays Cincinnati, these games feel like they happen close, right? It's like, didn't they just do that the week before? Isn't that something that we just saw? It always feels like it wasn't that far away. And this division, the AFC North, it's one of those divisions that has just become competitive. And Deshaun Watson and the Browns are shocking some people. Other people, they're doing what, you know, they paid Deshaun and the squad to do. And then we look at, you know, some of these other pieces. Baltimore, with Lamar Jackson healthy, you anticipate that that's a team that can win the division and win a playoff game or two. And, you know, then you see the Pittsburgh Steelers and say, okay, how quickly can Kenny Pickett and the gang get it moving? And outside of them, you know, the Cincinnati Bengals are a team that's been to a recent Super Bowl. So there's a lot to be had and to be said about that. Jacob said, would you trade Kyler and Sutton for Devontae Adams? 1 QB league. I also have Tua. Would I trade Kyler Murray and Cortland Sutton for Devontae Adams? Nah, I wouldn't, because Devontae Adams is in a situation right now where it's unclear who his quarterback is. So I would not make that trade, especially because somebody's trying to bank on the fact that you want. Trying to bank on the fact that the Broncos are not a consistently good team. However, they have been playing a lot better, and I warned you last week that the Denver Broncos are a team that could be catching fire at exactly the right time. So, Jacob, thank you for the question, and make sure to subscribe as well as let us know where you're from, because I always love shouting out hometown. So let us know where you hail from and be happy to share that with everybody. But make sure you join while you're on here. If you have a question, like I said, send it in. So we're going to go with Cincinnati and Baltimore first and foremost here. That's the game that we're going to tackle as we take a look at this upcoming Week 11 in the NFL, which I cannot believe we're already at Week 11. I mean, and it does. This happens every single year. I sit here and I say to myself, you know, let's enjoy the fantasy season while we have it. Let's you know, take the time to take the time. And it's week 1, it's week 3, and then it's week 11. And honestly, I thought this year was going a little bit slower, and we're right back to what it feels like every single year for me, where we start in week 1 and before I know it, we're to the depths of the season. I mean, we are past the midway point of the season. We're talking playoffs. We're talking about games obviously matter throughout the year, but where we are right now, can you have a mistake at this point in the season in your schedule? Can you afford a loss this season is something to take a look at. But Cincinnati going up against the Ravens, which is going to be happening now. It feels like yesterday, but it was actually in week 2 that they went up against each other. Cincinnati lost at home 27-24, and now they have a chance to resurrect that. When we go back to that game and take a look at the fantasy points that went back and forth in that Ravens-Bengals game of week 2 of this NFL season, to take a look at how the teams performed back at that time in the season so early on. Joe Burrow, keep in mind, I don't think was 100% in week 1, arguably wasn't 100% in week 2, and Joe Burrow in this game went 27 of 41, 222, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. On the other side, Lamar Jackson was 24 of 33, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Gus Edwards led the way with the rushing attack, 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Joe Mixon was 13 carries for 59 yards, no touchdown. And Nelson Aguilar led the Ravens with Zay Flowers behind him in only his second game in the NFL. Mark Andrews had a touchdown. Aguilar had a touchdown. T. Higgins on the other side had both touchdowns on 8 catches, 12 targets. Jamar Chase, 5 catches on 8 targets, no touchdowns, and 31 yards in that last game, so they keyed in on him. T. Higgins had a better day, and Zay Flowers was immediately effective. I think that the Ravens are a better team today than they were back then, but I think Cincinnati's a better team today than they were back in week 2 as well. So I fully anticipate this game to go down the wire and to be a couple points of separation, as we saw the last one be a field goal of separation. So Cincinnati at Baltimore for Thursday Night Football. Play Joe Burrow, play Joe Mixon, play Jamar Chase. T. Higgins in this one, you got to watch it, because T. Higgins is going through a week where he is not 100%, and a hamstring injury. As I tell you all the time, hamstring injuries and groin injuries, especially for receivers and running backs, is a danger zone in fantasy. And God bless, and hopefully in reality he gets well and stays well above all things, because that's way more important than fantasy. So if T. Higgins is able to go, I'd look to play him, but that hamstring could be hampered. So Tyler Boyd could be somebody to put in your flex position as a wide receiver 3 this week. Jamar Chase is a definite for me to put out there. On the other side of it for Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, yes. Gus Edwards I would put in a deep league at running back 2. Other leagues you could probably put him at running back 3. But Gus Edwards, I tell you like a broken record every year, but I'm not wrong. Gus Edwards is not the number 1 guy. Then he becomes the number 1 guy due to injury, and he ends up performing because Lamar Jackson seems to have a very good relationship with him. So put him out there. Zay Flowers, I like him as a true flex guy. So in a deep league, you can put him in as a wide receiver 2, or if you got some guys off, you could put him as a wide receiver 1 or 2, but I definitely would put him out there. He's a flex by his nature, being able to run the ball and pass and catch it, very successfully. So I'd put Zay out there. Rashad Bateman, you could look to flex him out due to some injuries, but Nelson Aguilar, who had a good day, like I said against Cincinnati last time, Nelson Aguilar could be a waiver wire or free agent pickup for you. Rashad Bateman could be as well, and either one of those guys I'd put in the flex position. I'd probably put them as wide receiver 4s because I'm not as sold on them. I do think you could score points in this game, and I think both teams will, but I don't trust them to necessarily lead your team, especially with putting them on Thursday night, and if they don't perform, you're behind the 8 ball before Sunday starts. Mark Andrews is a number 1 tight end. You know to play him, but if you don't, I'm going to tell you to do so. If you have a question, make sure you send it in. Jacob, once again, thank you for your question. Make sure to subscribe and let us know where you hail from. Happy to shout out your hometown. Pittsburgh and Cleveland, so look at that. The entire division of the AFC North is taking over Week 11 to start. Thursday Night Football, AFC North. First game, and well, there's a bunch of games at 1 o'clock on Sunday, but the first one we're going to talk about is Pittsburgh at Cleveland. So let's go ahead and jump into that one. I almost said the Pitt Panthers here. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been up and down this year. Cleveland seems to be catching some fire themselves, as the Denver Broncos are. But the Cleveland Browns, I mean, they've had to rely on a lot of different things, right? And Deshaun Watson, he's got an ankle injury, which has put him out for this week, but he's done some good things. PJ Walker, who I covered at Temple, who became a starter in the XFL in its second iteration, not its current one. He was a starter there. Then he got picked up by the Carolina Panthers. He got to start in Carolina where they had 4 quarterbacks, and now he looks to be starting in this game. I would imagine that Pittsburgh can take advantage of the fact that there's not going to be Deshaun Watson out there, albeit I do respect PJ Walker, so I would imagine Pittsburgh's defense and special teams would be a good thing to play, but Cleveland has been so interesting this season. They're 6-3 and Pitt is 6-3. Whoever wins this game gets second place and could get first place in the division, because if Baltimore were to lose, they would be 7-4, which means that Pittsburgh or Cleveland, with a win in this game and a Baltimore loss, would be first in the AFC North. Huge implications. Like I said, it's week 11, but can you afford to make a mistake here in week 11? Both of these teams played in week 2, just like the Ravens and the Bengals played in week 2. So let's take a look at how that game went. Deshaun Watson played in this game. He wasn't great, 22 of 40. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 235 yards. Kenny Pickett, 15 of 30, wasn't good either, 50% completion percentage, and Deshaun was just above that. 222 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick for him as well. Neither quarterback looked good. Jerome Ford had over 100 yards rushing. Nick Chubb had 64 yards rushing. And on the other side, Najee Harris had 43 yards. Jaylen Warren had 20. Amari Cooper led the way for the Browns in that game with 90 yards receiving, followed by Njoku with 48, Elijah Moore with 36. And then Jerome Ford caught 3 of 4 thrown to him out of the backfield for a touchdown for one of them and 25 yards. George Pickens led the way on the other side, 127 yards. Pickett to Pickens seems to be something not only fun to say, but something that we could get used to saying here with some more consistency. Jaylen Warren caught 4 catches had 4 out of the backfield on 6 targets, 66 yards for him. Allen Robinson didn't do much of anything. Calvin Austin caught a pass. Pat Freiermuth caught a pass as well. So when we look at this game, I would say against the Browns on the road, I still have Kenny Pickett as a quarterback 2, but you could have Derek Carr for the Saints, and he's off. You could have the Colts overall team quarterback. We play team quarterback in my league, so gosh forbid somebody goes down, you have the opportunity to benefit from whoever else is coming behind them as opposed to just losing the whole week. And that's why we do team quarterback, because I think it's important to do something like that. The Falcons, I wouldn't imagine you have the Falcons or the Patriots quarterbacks. If you do, you're probably losing already. So Kenny Pickett, I got him as a QB2. Najee Harris, I got him as a running back 2. I have Jaylen Warren as a flex 3 in this game. And then Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. I have George Pickens as a 2, Deontay Johnson as a lower end 2, maybe right behind Pickens. And then on the other side for the Cleveland Browns, Jerome Ford, I have him in a deep league as a running back 2, but I'd rather put him as a running back 3, which means in most cases he would flex out for you. Amari Cooper, I have him as a low-end 1 because he does perform. It's just the question of can he perform consistently with the change in quarterback? And that is a question that is difficult to answer because he's been in a place where he's had 2 different guys. Now, I think Amari Cooper, I still can't understand for the life of me why Dallas was okay letting him go, especially when he was in the midst of a multi-year contract, but they decided to do that and let him go to the Cleveland Browns. He's a talented guy. PJ Walker has played in the game against the Niners, the Colts, and the Seahawks. And in the games against the Niners, the Colts, and the Seahawks, I want to let you know how Amari performed with PJ Walker. So Niners, Colts, Seahawks games, that's what we're looking at here for Amari Cooper. Against the Niners, Amari Cooper had 4 catches on 8 targets, 108 yards. The Colts, he had 2 catches on 8 targets for 22 yards. Against the Seahawks, 6 catches on 11 targets for 89 yards. So 2 out of 3 of those games, good stuff, but he did not score a touchdown in any one of those games. So Amari Cooper, that's why I have him as a lower end 1, because PJ could still get the ball out to him, and PJ's still talented. I'm just looking at this as a potentially not the best situation for Amari Cooper, but still not a bad situation for Amari Cooper. So go ahead and put Amari Cooper out there, but I got him as a lower end one. And David Njoku, I would put him as, well, Taysom Hill's off and Juwan Johnson's off and Kyle Pitts is off, so you might have to play Njoku. Not a bad week to play him. I'm going to call him a lower end tight end one in this. Nino sent me a question. If Dameon Pierce doesn't play, would you consider starting Singletary versus the Cardinals? I would. I definitely would. And he said over James Conner on the other side. That's tough. So looking at, and I appreciate you asking this question because I'm a big fan of James Conner, covered him in college, and he's been somebody that last year was underestimated. This year, he has 437 yards in 6 games played. He has 2 rushing touchdowns. If we look at James Conner by the numbers, and granted he was playing without Kyler Murray, but Josh Dobbs, as we've seen, is a good quarterback in multiple locations, and he's winning with Minnesota. When we look at James Conner, we're looking at from his first week that he played to November 12th, 62 yards, 106, 98, 52, 46, 73. He has 2 touchdowns in those 6 games. So that's not great for James Conner. For Singletary, I'm going to tell you why I like it more. Houston is playing a heck of a lot better. Houston's got a rookie quarterback, yet look at what they're doing with C.J. Stroud. He's making a case for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He could make a case for Offensive Player of the Year in general. And with Houston's team ahead of schedule and C.J. Stroud being a huge part of that, when he can throw well and the team can move the ball well, then you can balance the team out and you can run the ball. Looking at Singletary by the numbers, he is actually leading the team right now. 9 games, he has 359 yards. He only has 1 rushing touchdown, but if we look at the game log for him, he has had 15, well, his yards are not great. 15, 14, 41, 25. Nothing against Atlanta. 58, 30, 26. But most recently, against Cincinnati on the road, he had 30 carries. He has not had anywhere near that this season. That was more than double any of his carries this season. He's had 7, 4, 9, 7, 0, 12, 10, 13 before having 30 most recently, 150 yards, 5 yards a carry, and a touchdown. So in my opinion, based on how the offense is moving for Houston, Nino, and based on the fact that they're playing Arizona's defense, I would say to go with Singletary if Dameon Pierce is unable to go. So I would say Singletary over Conner for you, Nino. And Nino, thank you for the question. And please make sure to subscribe while you're here and let us know where you hail from so we can give a shout out to your hometown. So make sure to let us know. We've had people from all over the place, including Hawaii. So thank you to everybody that's been tuning in. So make sure to subscribe and let us know where you're from so we can shout out your home here. Team Money said, are you trading Deebo Samuel for DeAndre Swift? That's a really good question. So we're going to pause here. I did let you know we've covered the Cincinnati at Baltimore and the Pitt at Cleveland games already. So those games have been covered. If you have a question about those, feel free to ask it, and I will definitely come back to it. I do want to get to a couple notes here. Team Money, I'm going to get to your question in just a second. I want to check our other feed here. Greg said 4 RB1s not playing this week, and that's very true. When we look at, obviously Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, the Patriots, nah. It's like, wah, wah, wah. You know what I mean? But let's see what Nino said here. Appreciate that, man. And dropped what he said. Dropped a subscribe and a like. He said, let me see what he dropped subscribe. And he said he's coming to us from Michigan this morning. So big shout out to you, Nino. And shout out to the great state of Michigan. Appreciate you tuning in. Greg said the games are always close. Very strong AFC North division. Amen. Bengals were a much different team in week 2. Amen, because I don't think that Joe Burrow was 100%. T. Higgins dealing with an ongoing never-ending injury. That is very unfortunate. Mitchell is explosive and fast. Speaking on Keaton Mitchell in the backfield for Baltimore, but Gus Edwards still getting the job done as well. Pittsburgh is the most intriguing 6-3 team in the league. Yes, because at this point they're literally at a crossroads of, are they going to be a playoff team or are they going to disappear? Watson done for the season. P.J. Walker time, got to rely on that defense, and Warren is taking over the backfield for Pitt. So, I mean, obviously Pittsburgh's got to be careful with Najee Harris, a talented guy, but not a great position right now for him there. I do want to get to Team Money's reaction here, or Team Money reacts. So he said, are you trading Debo for Swift? And I like the question. I can appreciate the question. I'm going to go to Debo's numbers first in order to have this conversation. We know that Debo is a wide receiver and Swift is a running back, but Debo has been known to be a jack of all trades, so that makes him enticing. But CMC has obviously taken a lot away from Debo, and Debo has also not been the healthiest. Debo's receiving yards have been not great at all. 55, 63, 129 against the Giants, but again, it was the Giants. 0, 55, 0, and 30. On the ground, he has 8, 38, 2, 6, 30, 11, and 29. He only has 3 touchdowns this season, having 7 weeks of play. So that's not good. Now, DeAndre Swift, and it's not what you anticipate from Debo Samuel either, so that's something to also pay attention to. DeAndre Swift is on a different team, right? Now, San Fran is a good team, but I still believe that San Fran is second to Philadelphia, and we'll see if it comes down to it who emerges. But as of right now in this moment, I'd still pick Philadelphia over San Francisco. Taking a look at the stats for DeAndre Swift this season, DeAndre Swift has 9 games played, 135 carries already. 135 carries already in 9 games, halfway through the season. And so he's probably going to have over 200 easily. 614 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. By the numbers, DeAndre Swift has had 3, 175, 130, 56, 70, 18, 62, 57, and 43. So he's all over the place. And so Greg said team needs should be the first question regarding that proposed trade, you would think. Absolutely. So the question is, and I appreciate you saying that, Greg, to you, Team Money, he said it's his flex position since he already has 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. Team Money, let me know who else is on your team, and that's going to help me dictate this. I want to know who your other running backs, your other wide receivers are. So let us know the roster, and I've asked this for years, is let me know the roster of running backs and wide receivers you have so that I can make a more educated decision on that. And Nino, thanks for the subscribe. T-Money said 8-man PPR, 2 flex. He has Burrow, Eckler, Williams, Chase, Waddle, Kelsey, Puka Nacua, Debo, bench, Dobbs, Zach Charbonnet, McBride, Kincaid. I can't see this one due to the YouTube heart that's on here. Maybe if I hit the heart, it'll go away. No, it doesn't. So McBride, Kincaid, Moore, and let's see here, B-Rob, Rashee Rice, Lions defense. Okay, so looking at this right now, you have Eckler and Javonte Williams, I'm guessing. Oh, yeah, you put Jay Williams there. Okay. So you have Javonte and you have Austin Eckler at your running back positions. Your wide receivers, you have Chase and Waddle and Puka. Puka hampered at times by Kupp being healthy. Waddle hampered by his own injury. So you're a little bit more lean in wide receiver, I would say, in my opinion. So that's tough. Because you're a little bit more lean in wide receiver, I tell you to keep Debo, but I don't like Debo's numbers. And DeAndre Swift, I mean, his numbers have been all over the place as well. Granted, he has more touchdowns. He has 4 overall right now, so he's not leading them by much. He's also in a backfield where they utilize more than one person. So, I mean, looking at your team Money, I would probably say... I'd probably say to... Yeah, because you got B-Rob too. I'd probably say stick with Debo for now because I like your running back room. So I would say stick with Debo. for the time being because of your running back room being more heavy there, being better than if you lost Debo. So I would keep him in your wide receiver room for now. I would definitely keep him. And Team Money, thank you for joining us here today. And make sure to subscribe. Hit that little subscribe button and the notification bell. Would definitely appreciate that. And let us know where you hail from. So let us know where you're from so we can give a little shout out to the hometown. But definitely make sure you click subscribe. Thank you for that. What about Eckler plus Waddle for Jacobs and Amon-Ra? Ooh. I don't like getting rid of Eckler. Thank you for the subscribe and the like. Appreciate that, T-Money. Let us know where you hail from so I could shout out the hometown. Eckler and Waddle for Jacobs and Amon-Ra. Wow, that is a difficult question, and I love it because it's going to make me have to think more than many of the questions we've gotten this season. Yikes. So I'm not a big fan of getting rid of Eckler because so much of the offense, I think, can go through him. And Waddle, I'm more apt to because of his injury. I really like Amon-Ra. And Josh Jacobs is not a bad bet either. That's a tough question. That's a really tough question, and I respect it. I respect it fully. Let me take a look really quick here at the side-by-side. So Josh Jacobs, 622 yards, 185 carries, 5 rushing touchdowns. He's averaging 3.3 yards a carry. So I like those numbers. Austin Eckler, I've also been in the Josh Jacobs camp a lot longer than I think other people. Austin Eckler, he has 339 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And you would get Amon-Ra, and you're from H-Town. Shout out to Houston. What's up to Houston? Much love. So I would say Eckler and Waddle for Jacobs and Amon-Ra. Well, Eckler is going to have to go up against Kansas City, Denver, Buffalo, Vegas, Denver, New England, Baltimore, Green Bay. That's what Eckler's going to have to go up against. And Jacobs, because this is what I'm really looking at right now. Jacobs is going to have to go up against Miami, Kansas City, Minnesota, the Chargers, Kansas City again, Indy, Denver. I would probably, let me see Detroit too. I want to see Detroit. So Amon-Ra, let's see what Amon-Ra's schedule looks like now. Amon-Ra's got to face Chicago twice. Yeah, okay, I'd make the trade. That did it for me. I needed a little bit more to make the decision. Yeah, I would make the trade. So Eckler and Waddle for Jacobs and Amon-Ra, I would say make the trade. Make the trade to get Jacobs and Amon-Ra. Team Money. So, and shout out once again to H-Town. Much love and much respect. Thank you for subscribing and liking. And Greg, good notes here on the underbelly. I would look at the rest of the schedule, upcoming matches regarding that trade. Better off looking to the future instead of past performance. Well, it's important to see how they've been doing, though. It shows us where they're at as well, and it also shows where they're at against good competition, arguably. So I think you got to look at all of it. I think you got to look at what they've done, and I think you got to look at what's coming, because if they haven't done much of anything, who cares what's coming, right? So, easy competition might help, but if you're struggling in general, then that doesn't say much. So Team Money, I would make the trade. I think you'd be in good footing with that. I think Eckler's got a gamut coming up here with the Chargers, and I haven't been really happy with what I've seen from the Chargers recently this season. So let's go to our next game, Chicago at Detroit. Speaking of Chicago, let's go to Chicago at Detroit. We always do the road team first, so let's hit Chicago first. Justin Fields is questionable with his thumb injury. Tyson Bagent has been playing, and Tyson coming to us from Shepherd College, Division II. Your dreams can become a reality, folks. You just have to believe, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It matters what you think, and I think that people need to fully understand that and know that. It matters how you see things, not how everybody else sees things, and hopefully people can take a better look at and appreciate something like that, because we don't always do that, right? We think about what everybody else thinks of us, and obviously Tyson didn't think that, and he found his way into the NFL. Dante Foreman, Rashawn Johnson, Darrington Evans, Travis Hunter, all those guys are there. I don't feel great about Chicago, and it doesn't really matter who Chicago plays. I don't feel great, and Fields is still on the injury report as of right. The Panthers, and the Panthers are not great by any stretch of the imagination, and for some reason we just got knocked off the line. So hopefully we're still here with you online. Hopefully we didn't get bumped off completely. Gotta think, I don't call them by their name because I don't respect their business, nor do I appreciate the fact that they consistently have terrible internet. So we call them Rectum here on the show, and Rectum has been just a wonderful, wonderful piece of hot garbage for us. But we are here on. So we're still online with you. Just had to check that and make sure we're still good to go. So let's continue the conversation. This most recent week for the the Bears, Dante Foreman led the team with 21 carries. The closest to him had 6 carries, which was Tyson, the quarterback, and then 5 for Rashawn Johnson. Dante Foreman, 21 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown against a terrible Carolina Panthers team. DJ Moore did okay. Cole Kmet did all right as well. Darnell Mooney's fallen down here. I mean, I don't like much of anything out of Chicago. So in this game that they have, in the matchup that they have, they're playing Detroit. Divisional games are hard to pick because when the games seem easy, the team that you don't anticipate winning will get the victory. Case in point, the Patriots, right? Case in point, who the Bills are this season and how do they actually play against other teams in their division. So, I would, and the Bills are a whole story in and of themselves of the issues that they have, but Chicago would be an easy team to pick to lose in this game, but this could be a low-scoring defensive game. However, by the numbers and from what I see going into it, if you want to play Dante Foreman as a flex running back, as a running back 3, okay. If you want to play DJ Moore as a wide receiver, low-end 2, a 2 or a 3, all right. Maybe a 2 in a deep league. Cole Kmet, I still think, is a number 1 tight end, but I don't feel great about anything in Chicago. I just feel like DJ Moore, Dante Foreman, and Cole Kmet are the names if you're going to put somebody out there. I'm hoping you're not relying on the Bears to win you fantasy games. Jared Goff is a yes for me in this matchup. Amon-Ra St. Brown, yes as well. Sam Laporta, yes as well. And then the David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs conundrum, right? The teams that, because, typically teams don't run one running back anymore. We live in a world where the 2 running backs, sometimes 3 running backs is the world that we live in. So living in that world and looking at it from, that the point of view of knowing that a lot of these teams have 2 guys, including Detroit. Detroit most recently balanced it out. They gave 12 carries to Montgomery, 14 to Gibbs. With less carries, Montgomery had more yards, 116 on 12 carries, 9.7 yards a carry in a shootout against the Chargers that they won on the road, and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 77 yards on 14 carries, 5.5 yards per carry, which would be great, but it was eclipsed by Montgomery's 9.7 and 2 touchdowns. And that's got against a defense that has some talent. So I would say for me, I would probably go with both of them in this matchup, especially because it's Chicago. So if you have Montgomery or Gibbs, I would play both of them. I would put them both out there. If you have either or, Jameson Williams is a sneaky flex 4. Like I said, Amon-Ra, I got him as a wide receiver 1. I got Laporta as a tight end 1, probably a mid-range tight end 1 this week. And I got Goff as a QB 1 as well. Next that we have up here to talk about, and if you have questions, send them over. Happy to answer them. Chargers and Green Bay. Let's get into the Chargers first and foremost here, as we always do the road team first. Green Bay has been such a confusing enigma of an issue when it comes to who am I picking, and we do our picks on Thursday, so come back here onto YouTube. Our football picks for college and the NFL happen every Thursday between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern time when myself and Papa Joe make our picks. And our records have been very, very strong this week, this season, which I've been very proud of. We've had awesome records, the both of us have, and we'll look to hopefully continue that this week, and we'll see how we did this past week when we take a look back at college football week 11 and NFL week 10 on tomorrow's broadcast, a wake-up call right here on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on internet streaming radio, wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So let's go first to the Chargers. Justin Herbert, I want to, you know what I mean? He's one of those guys that you just want to pick because I know he's talented. He throws a great ball. You know, he's got 17 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. His numbers are good. His team doesn't look that great overall, but he's been playing well. So I think you got to start Herbert in this one, QB1. Austin Eckler, I would still put him out there as a RB1, despite the fact that in that specific trade that was sent over to me, I was okay making the move. Keenan Allen's questionable with a shoulder injury. Mike Williams is already out. Jalen Guyton could be a guy to pick up in free agency, or Darius Davis, who I have rookie cards of, as well as Quentin Johnson, who I have rookie cards of. Quentin Johnson could be the guy. You might have him. He may be a waiver, could be a free agent. I would venture to say that Darius Davis and Jalen Guyton are both free agents, so you could go out there and pick them up in a deep league if you need some help, or in a league in general if you need some help. So Quentin Johnson could be worth the play depending on what happens to Keenan Allen. If Keenan's able to go, I'd still put him out there as a 1, maybe a lower range 1 because of injury. Gerald Everett is questionable with a back injury. Donald Parham Jr. Was hardly utilized. That's too tough of a situation to go ahead and say one guy over the other. I just don't believe that's a good tight end situation for you. Leading Green Bay on the ground is A.J. Dillon, making it most recently, which made it hard again for him and Aaron Jones. Who do you pick? They're playing the Chargers, who have shown that they could give up a ton of points. So I would still have Jones as a number 1, A.J. Dillon as a number 2 back, and I do think that either one of them is worth the play. Christian Watson and this whole receiving core, it hasn't been great. You know, Jordan Love, and I told everybody at the beginning of the season, it's going to take time. They were spoiled. You go from Super Bowl champion to Super Bowl champion. You go through 2 decades of having 2 quarterbacks, right? Look at Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and how much time they spent there. I think it was 3 decades that you didn't have to worry about changing your quarterback. And so Jordan Love, you're going to have to give him time because, I mean, for goodness sakes, you know what I mean? You struck gold twice, and it's not that Jordan Love can't do some good things, but he's a different quarterback. It's going to take some time. Jaden Reed led the team here this past game that they had against Pittsburgh in a loss. The wide receiver, 2023 round 2 pick, number 50, another high draft pick that they took at wide receiver like Christian Watson in recent history. They took Jaden Reed from Michigan State in this year's draft in round 2 and picked 50 overall. He led it. Luke Musgrave, the tight end who's been performing, he had 64 yards on just 2 catches. Dontavian Wicks, 3 catches for 51 yards. Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, they fell down the charts here. So Jaden Reed could be a sneaky guy to pick up and put in this game for you for the Packers if you want to flex him out as a wide receiver 3 or 4. Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, I'm not completely sold on them. I would maybe put them at a wide receiver 3, but right now I'd pick Jaden Reed over them. And Luke Musgrave is not a bad bet for you, as he's been able to do some good things this season, not just this past game. So Musgrave, I'd have him as probably safely a tight end 2, but if you have Pitts or somebody else off this week, it could be time to put him out there for a week and wouldn't be a bad week just because of the points that are given up by the Los Angeles Chargers. Next game that we're going to go to here before we take a break, the Giants at the Commanders. The Commanders have played games close, but they struggle to win. The Giants have not played games close, and they have no problem losing. They have no struggle to lose. So, this is not a great matchup. This is not a, fun time game that a lot of people are going to want to be sitting and watching on purpose. So I can appreciate my Washington Commander fans. Shout out to two of my guys out there that I know are big time fans, to Curtis and to Isaac. So much love to both of you that are supporting them, and obviously to a friend of mine, Joe Theismann, who is a Super Bowl champion with that franchise. So I know that there's love out there for them. It's been a tough go, and I said they would play the Seahawks close. They lost to the Seahawks by a field goal. They lost to the Patriots by a field goal. They lost to the Eagles by a touchdown. They lost to the Giants the last time they played them on the road at MetLife by a touchdown. They lost to the Falcons by a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. They got blown out by the Bears, which made no sense to me. They lost to the Eagles by a field goal the first time around, got blown out by the Bills, lost to the Broncos by 2, and lost to the Cardinals by 4. So more often than not, this has been a team in the Commanders that will play you to one final drive of who's going to score and who's not going to score. And somehow they lost to the Giants the first time around. But I don't see them losing to the Giants this time. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. Saquon Barkley, I would play him in this game because he's playing the Commanders, and they got rid of pretty much their entire defensive line before the trade deadline. So I would say play Saquon as a running back too. I don't like anybody else there. Washington going up against the Giants. I want to say that Sam Howell would not be a bad bet at quarterback. I still have him as a low-end 1 quarterback, but this could be his best matchup of the year. Brian Robinson Jr. is worth the play as an RB2. Antonio Gibson maybe as a flex. Terry McLaurin is a wide receiver 1. And Jahan Dotson could be somebody to put out in the flex world. Most recently for Washington in their loss to the Seahawks, to take a look at them by the numbers, Brian Robinson out of the backfield was the leading rusher and leading receiver. He had 119 yards on 6 catches, 6 targets, caught everything. 8 carries, 38 yards on the ground, 4.8 yards a carry. Antonio Gibson caught a bunch out of the backfield, including a touchdown, and had 4 carries for 13 yards. Logan Thomas caught all 5 thrown his way. Antonio caught 5 of 6. Terry McLaurin caught 4 of the 8 thrown his way for 33 yards. But in this game, I like Terry McLaurin. I like Jahan Dotson. I like Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson probably the most in this, as Jahan Dotson has been so up and down. So he would be a flex 3, if not a flex 4. He might improve to a flex 3, and in my opinion, he does because they're playing the Giants. But having so much go through their backfield and Sam Howell trusting Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, definitely Brian Robinson I would play as a 1. And so I'd probably improve him to a 1, not a running back 2. Antonio Gibson to a low-end 2, high-end 3. Terry McLaurin to a 1 at wide receiver. So we are going to take a step aside, but I do want to answer a question. Aaron asked a question, should I trade Brandon Ayuk and Aaron Jones for Mike Evans and Chris Olave? So we're looking at trading a wide receiver running back for 2 wide receivers. So in order to answer that question, Aaron, please let me know who your other running backs are. So let me know your other running backs as well as wide receivers. In order for me to make an adequate assessment of this, I got to know who else you got on your team. So, Aaron, thank you for the question. Send me over your running back and wide receiver room so I can help you with that. I want to see, if you're going to add 2 receivers and lose a running back, are you lean at running back or are you strong at running back? And so send over your roster so I can make that assessment. We're going to get into the Dallas at Carolina game right after this fast break. Aaron, send that information over to us during the fast break, and we'll be back with you right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout delivery and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Under promise, over deliver is what we're all about here on the broadcast, and that's exactly what we're doing here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, going well past 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Fantasy Football in Focus is what we bring you every single Wednesday between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m., and typically go past 11 a.m., so make sure you make a note of that. NFL Week 11, 2023-24 season, the bye week for the Falcons, Colts, Patriots, and Saints, so make sure you don't have any of them out there for you so you don't waste a spot on your roster. This is all proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. It's where we're going to be tomorrow for our trade night. GG Cards and Breaks is bringing their sports card trade night on the road and will be at the Wildcat Sports Pub. I had the opportunity of bonding these two wonderful outlets and two of my awesome partners in the community, the Wildcat Sports Pub and GG Cards and Breaks, which means that trade night tomorrow, Thursday, November 16th, from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. is going to be filled with awesome cards, awesome people, an awesome community, and awesome food. So make sure you come out and get all of that greatness at the Wildcat Sports Pub and bring out your cards as well as be ready to buy, sell, and trade. And we're going to be doing some giveaways and some really cool stuff with GG Cards and Breaks, and I'll be broadcasting live during the event as well. So we look forward to seeing you out there for GG Cards and Breaks trade night at the Wildcat Sports Pub this Thursday, November 16th, 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. That's 3680 Milton Ave in Camillus, New York, right inside of the Home Depot Plaza. So we'll see you out there. All of my sports card collectors and enthusiasts and fans out there in Central and Upstate New York, we can't wait to see you out at the Wildcat Sports Pub for our GG Cards and Breaks trade night on the road. With that being said, let's get back into the matchups. If you have a question, send it over. Aaron, you asked about the trade. Just let me know who you have on your roster so I can answer your question. So hopefully you're still listening here so we can shoot you over that answer. So Aaron said, should I trade Brandon Ayuk and Aaron Jones for Mike Evans and Chris Olave? And I want to know the other running backs and wide receivers you have in order to give you an answer that I feel good about. So with that being said, let's jump into the next matchup, which is Dallas at Carolina. Well, you want to pick Dallas outright here, and you want to say Dallas is going to win no matter what, and that would be a lot of people's thoughts, right? But at the same time, Dallas had a terrible time on the road at Arizona, and that was a game that seemingly was very easy for them as well to win. So Dallas struggled with that game, so it's hard to say outright, that there's a guarantee that Dallas will win at Carolina. I think there's a very hopefully good chance for you fantasy owners out there to put these guys out there because I think Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb are all worth the play in this matchup. Jake Ferguson's done a nice job as well. So at tight end, so I look at Jake Ferguson. I'm still surprised they got rid of Dalton Schultz, but Jake Ferguson is filled in pretty nicely here. So I look at putting him out there in this matchup. And overall for the Dallas Cowboys, any other notes? And granted, they played the Giants recently, so it's hard to assess. They've outscored the Giants 89-17 this season in 2 games. But looking at who's been used, Rico in the backfield has also been utilized as well, so you got to watch that. Brandon Cooks has gotten a ton of yards, and CeeDee Lamb, but that was against the Giants. If we go back and we go to the Cowboys game against the Eagles, against a team that I think could be in this year's Super Bowl, when we assess that and say, okay, Tony Pollard had the most carries, 12, Rico had 2, CD had 16 targets, caught 11, had 191 yards, insane, against the Eagles defense, mind you. 10 targets, 7 catches for Jake Ferguson for 91 yards and a touchdown. Tony Pollard caught 3 of the 5 thrown his way out of the backfield. Brandon Cooks was barely utilized there, so, and caught 1 ball for 7 yards. And Brandon Cooks was throwing the ball only twice in that game. So I would say in this matchup for Carolina, Brandon Cooks would be a guy that I would put out there because they're playing Carolina. CeeDee Lamb as well. Like I said, Tony Pollard. Rico, he had some garbage time. So he had some help there, right? You know, the opportunity to get out there later on. I would still go with Tony Pollard. I don't know how this is going to go. It's hard to gauge and say definitely play Rico, but you know, Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson, all worth the play. On Carolina's side, I don't feel great about anything in Carolina. I've said that before this season. I'll say it again. I love Charlotte. Bank of America Stadium. I'm around it every year by the grace of God, and I'm very grateful for that. Outside of the COVID year, have seen it every year for many years, and I love it, and I love the city of Charlotte, and I just love the state of North Carolina. The Carolina Panthers, though, they've struggled. Chuba Hubbard, 9 carries, 23 yards, most recently in their game, 2.6 yards a carry, and a loss on the road against Chicago by 3. Chicago's not good. Carolina's worse, in my opinion. Mike Strachan, he had 1 catch on 2 targets for 45 yards. Thielen had 10 targets, 6 catches, 42 yards. So we know that Thielen is the main target. Mingo's gotten some work as well. Tommy Tremble, he had 3 catches on 3 targets for 16 yards. His younger brother is committed to Syracuse, and Tommy's in the NFL right now. Good stuff. Dad played in the NFL as well. I mean, looking at this matchup against Dallas, I would play Dallas as special teams, defense and special teams as well. Miles Sanders, he's fallen off the face of the earth. Chuba's been doing okay. Andy Dalton's behind Bryce Young. Andy Dalton used to be in Dallas, by the way, for those that forgot. So, I mean, in this game, if you want to play Adam Thielen as a flex wide receiver, that's probably the only place I would go. Chuba, running back 4. I mean, hopefully you're not relying on Carolina to save you. Tennessee, let's get into the Tennessee Jaguars game. Jaguars are coming off of their worst loss of the season. I thought their worst loss of the season was Houston, but getting blown out by San Francisco, it looks like the Jaguars, if San Francisco is a potential Super Bowl caliber team, it looks like the Jaguars either had a bad day or they're a step below San Francisco. So Jags fans are hoping it was just a bad day. So looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars and what they've done up to this point, now they'll face Tennessee twice these last, 7 games, 8 games that they have. They'll face them twice. They'll face them at the end of the season on the road, and they'll face them this week at home at 1 o'clock this Sunday on November 19th. Will Levis has gotten the job done, right? He's done some things. They've obviously moved on from Malik Willis, who they drafted very recently, and it's really sad to see something like that happen. Levis has been okay. He started off his career with 4 touchdowns, no picks, and then the next game we saw him have no touchdowns, 1 pick, and last week he did the same thing, no touchdowns, 1 pick. I would like to think that Jacksonville's defense is going to wake up. Maybe this is their wake-up call. Pun completely intended for my show. Shout out, what's up? I definitely believe that their defense is better than what they showed last week. Will Levis would not be a starting quarterback for me. At any given time, he could catch fire, but I don't have him as a QB1. Derrick Henry, I have him as an RB1. Tajay Spears, I have him as a flex. Flex 3, probably. Low end 3, high end 4, but still a flex. DeAndre Hopkins, I got him as like a lower end wide receiver 2, I guess. I mean, he's all right. He does okay. He's not shock and awe. Will Levis's first game, yeah. Yeah, he played well in that game. But overall, with the Titans, it's okay. And granted, they played the Falcons, who don't play defense, in my opinion. So I would say D-Hop, wide receiver 3, Henry a 1, Tajay Spears running back 3, maybe a running back 4. I wouldn't play Will Levis. On the other side of it, Trevor Lawrence, I would play him in this game. I would like to think he can bounce back here. Travis Etienne Jr., I would put him out there as well. Christian Kirk has been more of the trusted receiver for Trevor Lawrence over Calvin Ridley. And when people ask why, he spent an extra season with Christian Kirk, mind you. So I'd put Christian Kirk out there. Calvin Ridley has the home run opportunity where he could just have a really good game and catch fire. Zay Jones is not out there. Jamal Agnew is not going to be out there in this game. So that means Tim Jones is going to have to step up. Elijah Cooks might have to step up. So I think that Calvin Ridley has more opportunity here in this matchup. I got Kirk above Ridley, but they're both worth the play. Evan Engram's worth the play as well. Brenton Strange is a sneaky guy. If you need a tight end and you got somebody off or somebody injured, he might be a sneaky guy to get you in the end zone, but not necessarily get you a lot of yards. And I just want to make a note of that. So I think there's fantasy value on both sides, but Jacksonville, I would like to think, can bounce back. If they don't bounce back from this, then that's going to be very concerning to me. Arizona at Houston. Two teams running in totally different directions. Arizona running in place. Houston trying to make the playoffs in CJ Stroud's first season. And Jacksonville really has to win this game because if they don't, they're in a huge danger zone. Huge danger zone. Jacksonville's 6-3. Houston's 5-4. If the Jaguars were to lose and Houston were to win, which I anticipate Houston winning over Arizona, then Jacksonville needs to get to 7-3 because if they don't and both teams are 6-4, Houston owns the tiebreaker. They will jump above them, and they will take first place, believe it or not, in the division heading into Week 12, and Jacksonville will be in second place. And Indianapolis is not far behind Jacksonville. If Jacksonville is to be 6-4, then the Indianapolis Colts are very close behind. So Jacksonville needs to get this win because I anticipate there's going to be a win for Houston, like I said. Looking at this matchup, Arizona at Houston, I know Kyler Murray's back, and that's all well and good, but, you know, is Kyler Murray 100%? Is this team – I mean, what is this team trying to do is my question. I'm never going to say, like, I know for sure a team's doing something if I don't know for sure a team's doing something. Do I trust this team in Arizona to be really pushing? I mean, they're 2-8, and I don't see them catching fire this season. I really don't, even with Kyler Murray back. I mean, Trey McBride had a great day. 8 catches, 131 yards, 9 targets. Rondale Moore, 8 targets, caught 5, 43 yards. Hollywood only caught 1 of the 4 thrown his way for 28. Michael Wilson still being utilized, who Josh Dobbs seemed to like. He caught 3 of the 6 thrown his way, 34. He was targeted more than Marquise Hollywood Brown. So, and James Conner, 16 carries for 73 yards. I mean, having Kyler Murray is helpful, right? So, Kyler Murray, I got him as a quarterback 2. James Conner, I got him as a running back 3. Michael Wilson, I have as a wide receiver 3 or 4, probably a 4 if you need some help. Trey McBride, I have him as a low-end 1, high-end 2 at tight end. He had a great day against Atlanta, but now he's playing Houston. So I still got McBride as somebody you could put out there. If you could play 2 tight ends, definitely play him. I just don't want to say for sure that I'm going to put him as a number 1 because I don't feel that way about him yet. And Hollywood Brown, I'd probably leave off. On the other side of it, I mean, Brown and Wilson, wide receiver 4s. On the other side, C.J. Stroud, I think he's worth the play in this game against Arizona. I have him as a mid-range QB1. So if you have a quarterback off or a quarterback injured, this could be a guy to play. Devin Singletary against Arizona, I have him as an RB2. Nathaniel Dell with Nico Collins having a calf injury, God willing, he'll be okay. Tank Dell, I think, has a good day in this one. I got him as a 2 at wide receiver because of this matchup. And Dalton Schultz, I would put him as probably tight end 1 in this matchup playing Arizona. So I'd feel good about that. McBride, I want to tell you to put him as a 1, but it's Houston's defense, so I'm kind of like back and forth with it. And if Houston keys in on those receivers and prevents them from doing a lot, which they didn't do much recently, then I just don't feel good about McBride. I think Houston's defense is better. So, Randy said, should I start Commanders D this week versus the Giants? Yes, Randy. That would be a resounding yes. So the easiest question I've been asked all week about fantasy. Thank you for that, Randy. Make sure to subscribe and let us know where you hail from. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. Let us know where you come from. Yes, play Commanders defense this week. Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it very much. Tampa Bay at San Francisco. I appreciate the question. I got to ask some really tough questions, and that was a question where I was like, okay, easy answer. So, it's that was one that had no issue answering there whatsoever. Tampa Bay at San Francisco. Tampa Bay has been playing pretty well. They've been playing pretty well under Baker. I thought that Trask would get his shot at some point this season. He hasn't, and that's because Baker's been doing the job that he needs to do. So I would say in this one, for me, Randy said, I traded Brees and Waddle for Tyreek. What do you think? You traded Brees Hall and Jalen Waddle for Tyreek Hill. I don't love it. I mean, you essentially traded Waddle to upgrade to Tyreek, but you got rid of Brees. I would say that, if it was straight up Waddle for Tyreek, then that's a good trade. But giving up Brees, I probably wouldn't have done it, Randy, honestly. So I understand Waddle hasn't had 100% health, but I don't like giving up one of the big threats in Miami. I don't like giving up one plus the starting running back with the Jets. Granted, the Jets are struggling. I like Tyreek Hill. I do. I just don't know and it also depends on what running backs you have. So Randy, tell me what running backs you still have on your roster. That can help me to assess that trade even better. Tampa at San Fran. Again, Tampa has been playing better than I thought they were going to play. Better than I'm sure others thought that they were going to perform this season. They're 4-5. They're in a division that's not great at all. So 4-5 isn't terrible. They're in second place behind New Orleans. If they win this week and they're 5-5, New Orleans is off this week. So if you go back and you look at it, they beat the Saints. So all Tampa has to do, and it's a big task, is go to San Fran, go to the West Coast from the East Coast, win, and they'll be 5-5 with New Orleans, but they'll overtake first place in the NFC South because they'll own the tiebreaker over New Orleans, who they have to face on December 31st, last day of the year, on New Year's Eve at 1 o'clock on Fox. And that game is going to be at home in Tampa, mind you. Baker Mayfield has a thumb injury, so it is something to watch for sure. Rashad White is worth the play. I shouldn't have to tell you. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, yes. I like all of them being out there for you. And on San Fran's side, their defense and special teams, because I think that could be the difference in this game, is getting whoever the quarterback is to turn the ball over for Tampa. Christian McCaffrey, absolutely worth the play. Debo is worth the play. Brandon Ayuk is worth the play. George Kittle is worth the play. So you got a lot of plays there, but I wouldn't count Tampa out of this game. I really wouldn't. Randy said, I have Jerome Ford, who I thought would be fine since Deshaun wasn't hurt, and Gibbs. Now Deshaun's season just ended, so I don't feel as great about Jerome. He's still running behind a great O-line. Yeah, I mean, he's doing well. But I have Amon-Ra, Tyreek, and Devontae Smith, so hopefully they can carry this team. And you have Lamar Jackson? Yeah, so you're relying on your receivers to carry you. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have given up Brees if you had come to me before it. But I do like your receiving core. And I love that you have Lamar. And Randy, I hope you keep winning. Like I said before, make sure to click subscribe and let us know where your hometown is so we can shout it out. Jets O-line's just awful. And, yeah, I mean, I understand dropping the weight there. But, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is good to have. Jerome Ford, it's a toss-up. That's the tough part. You're heavy on receiver. But running back, I mean, the receivers are going to have to carry you. And even though Brees is not having a wonderful situation with the Jets, I mean, he's still the guy. Dalvin Cook has proven that he's not, so he doesn't have to worry like a lot of other running backs do of being in a shared backfield more often than not. So, yeah, I mean, I probably would have still kept him, but Tyreek, Amon-Ra, and Devontae Smith, I mean, and Lamar Jackson, they can carry you. They definitely can. So, don't like that you're lean on running back, but I do like the fact that you seemingly have such a strong receiving core that with that and Lamar Jackson, hopefully you can bridge the gap that your running backs would maybe take. I just don't know if I'd want to go lean on my running backs like that. But Randy, once again, thank you for the question. Thank you for the thoughts. Please make sure to subscribe and let us know your hometown so I can shout it out for you while you're here on the broadcast. Next up that we have here of our games, we're going to go to, and like I said, Tampa's got some talent. I think San Fran has a bunch more. Tampa's got fantasy value. San Fran's got fantasy value. I lean on the side of San Fran. Not that Tampa can't do it, but if Baker's not 100%, that's something that I definitely look to. I think San Fran is going to win that game. And, Baker Mayfield, hopefully, I mean, it looks like he's cemented himself on staying the guy for Tampa. And hopefully his injury, I mean, it's his thumb, so it's something that, we really have to look to. And isn't he the quarterback that went to that one press conference in a sling before? So let's just, let's be careful with him. I'm going to lean on San Fran's side. There's fantasy value on both. I definitely think there's fantasy value with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans always, until they prove me wrong on that. And until they show me differently, I should say. And then Rashad White, definitely. But there's a lot of talent on San Fran. They're going to be home, and CMC is a freaking beast. And if anybody showed a resurrection of their career by simply switching a jersey, it's Christian McCaffrey. Next game up here, the Jets at Buffalo. Well, I'd love to tell you that I'd love to tell Buffalo Bills fans the Jets have no chance. But the Buffalo Bills have proven to us this year that they may be the pretender because they're not contending. They have not been contending. They have not been consistent. They have not been fun to watch. They are 5-5. The Jets are 4-5. The Bills cannot afford to lose to the Jets. They lost to the Jets already this season, in the first game of the season when Aaron Rodgers went out on September 11th. Never forget. I don't trust the Buffalo Bills in this matchup any more than I've trusted them in other recent matchups. So I would tell you that if the Jets win this game, they will take second place from the Bills, and they will be close to Miami in a year that most people wrote them off 5 minutes into the season. I don't feel great about the Jets, and I don't feel great about the Bills. The issue that I have with the Bills is they've already lost to the Jets. The other issue that I have with the Bills is they seem to want to lose games so desperately. And what I mean by that, that's not, and obviously I'm having some fun with this and having some sarcasm. I don't think the Bills want to lose games. It just looks like they're almost trying to lose them. Not on purpose, but with the fumbles and just, everything. 12 men on the field. The guy misses the game-winning field goal. He gets a second chance, and you lose a game on Monday Night Football at home because you can't count the players on the field. Gross. And James Cook got over 100 yards because the ball that he fumbled bounced in his direction while he was running, which was great. Buffalo is potentially in a very big danger zone. They are at a crossroads themselves right now. James Cook, Gabe Davis, Dalton Kincaid, these guys have performed. Stephon Diggs, if he was pissed off before, I can only imagine what he feels right now in this moment. But looking at the Jets, their offense, 8 touchdowns in 9 games. Zach Wilson led the team in rushing yards. Breece Hall had 28 on 13 carries. So again, going back to you, Randy, I understand. I didn't want you to have to rely on Jerome Ford going up and down and Jahmyr Gibbs splitting time with DeAndre Swift, or not DeAndre Swift, with Montgomery, pardon me. Garrett Wilson's still performing, though. He's still performing. I would play Garrett Wilson in this game. I got him as a wide receiver, too. Breece Hall, I got him as a running back 3. James Cook, I have as a running back 2. Josh Allen, I still have him as a QB1, but he is not the second best quarterback in the country next to Pat Mahomes. He is not what I thought he was. Not right now. Not right now. Not that he can't be, but he's not right now. Dalton Kincaid, he's been showing up. So, and that helps with Dawson Knox being out. I'm sad that Dawson Knox is out. And he's expected to come back next week. In fantasy, both of them playing was bad for people who own Knox or Kincaid. With Kincaid by himself, he's worth the play. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis are worth the play. I like Gabe Davis a little bit more than Stephon Diggs right now. Because I don't know what's going on with Stephon Diggs, but this doesn't seem to be fun. So, not for Diggs, not for those that own Diggs on their team in fantasy. So, more fantasy value with the Bills. But if you think the Bills got this win, punch it, and call it a day, you're severely mistaken. Because that game is going one of two ways. It's going Bills blowout, or it's going down the wire again, and Bills fans are just going to be shaking their heads, while Jets fans are going to be like, how did we play this bad? And we're in the playoff hunt right now. Seattle at the Rams. Let's take this game and take a big old look at it. Seattle facing off against the Rams. Seattle's on the road, so we'll go to Seattle first, and then we'll hit the Rams as we have a couple more games to go here for you in this edition of Fantasy Football in Focus, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, NFL Week 11, 2023-24 season. Thank you for all your questions today and for all your subscriptions to our YouTube channel. It is free and easy to subscribe. Hit subscribe as well as click on that notification bell and shoot us a like. We appreciate all of those wonderful things, very much so. And for those of you on Facebook, you can go to Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, watch this video right now, watch all of our videos, and see all of our content, our articles, as well as all of our audio broadcasts, everything on Facebook. Make sure you follow at Wake Up Call DT on Facebook. On X, the former Twitter, follow at Call DT, and on Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Make sure to click a follow. I put inspirational stuff up daily pretty much. And when it's a quote from me, I sign each and every single one of those quotes that I write as inspiration to you and me. I hand signed every single one of those. And so make sure you check those out on my Instagram story at Wake Up Call _DT. Next game we have up here, T Money said, I'm about to make the trade. So, all right, man, going in it. He's about to do it. So, he's about to trade Eckler and Waddle for Josh Jacobs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, I'm excited. I hope it works out for you, T Money. I really do. Let's go to Seattle first. Geno Smith. Geno Smith, man. He comeback player of the year, I say it. And he definitely deserves it. Taking a look at comeback player of the year for last year, like the year before last season. So looking at 2 seasons ago and then last season, comeback player of the year, huge. And now he's been serviceable, right? The team is 6-3. I want to say he's been more than serviceable. They're 6-3. You know, he's done some good things. It hasn't looked phenomenal, but Seattle's winning. You know, I thought that he was a quarterback put in place so that they could draft somebody else, and they've held on to him. Kenneth Walker III is doing some good things. Zach Charbonnet is getting utilized. DK and Tyler Lockett are splitting time well still. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, their rookie wide receiver that I have a ton of rookie cards of, he has been getting involved, and Geno Smith hasn't been playing that bad. So, in this matchup at the Rams, we know that the Rams give up a lot of points. So I like Kenneth Walker III in this game as a running back. Low range 1, high range 2. I'd probably keep him as a 1. Maybe not like a 1 top tier, but I'd put him as a 1. DK Metcalf worth the play. Tyler Lockett worth the play. Noah Fant, Will Dissly. They can't seem to figure things out here on who's going to be the guy, which is great for the team in reality, but in fantasy, it's a head scratcher and it's not fun. Geno Smith in this game, I got him still as a quarterback too, but they could run up some points here. Seattle can on the Rams. Matty Stafford is questionable with a thumb injury. Carson Wentz has been brought in. He's on the active roster because Stetson Bennett is hurt as well. He's out with an illness. Darrell Henderson, Royce Freeman, Zach Evans, these are a bunch of guys that are, coming from other teams, kind of a makeshift thing. They brought back Darrell Henderson in his second iteration to see if things can be better this time around. Taking a look at the Rams most recently against the Packers, where they lost 20-3 in an awful game. Brett Ripien was their quarterback, 13 of 28, no touchdowns and an interception. Royce Freeman had 12 carries for 32 yards, no touchdowns. Darrell had 10 carries for 19 yards, 1.9 yards a carry, no touchdowns. Royce was 2.7 yards a carry. Cooper Kupp caught a couple. Puka Nacua caught a couple. They were both targeted 7 times. They didn't catch half of those. Darrell Henderson caught both out of the backfield, thrown his way. So, Tutu Atwell, 7 targets as well. He caught more than Puka or Cooper. He caught 4. Puka caught 3. Cooper caught 2. So, I don't like this situation for the Rams at all. I would say Puka is a 3. Cooper is a 1, but the quarterback situation makes him a 2. So there is value with Puka and Cooper, but Matty Stafford's not out there. Now, if Carson Wentz can get it done, there's some value. I still think there's value in playing them. I just think Seattle might run up the scoreboard on this one. Let's see here. T-Money said, I edited to Eckler, Waddle, Debo for Swift, Amon-Ra, Jacobs. Then I'll probably try to trade Swift for Monty. All right, T-Money, so you threw me a curveball. I edited my trade to Eckler, Waddle, Debo for Swift, Amon-Ra, and Jacobs. Then you're going to try and trade Swift for David Montgomery. Okay. If the trade works, then you would get if both work, then you get Monty, Amon-Ra, and Jacobs. Which means you're putting a lot on the hopes of the Lions. I don't like you adding Debo, though. I'm not a fan of you adding Debo to this thing. I got to look back at your roster. So you have Eckler and Josh Dobbs. Okay. Or pardon me. You have Burrow and Josh Dobbs at quarterback. Then you have, right now you have Eckler, Javonte Williams, Zach Charbonnet, and Brian Robinson. Then wide receivers, you have Chase, Waddle, Debo, Elijah Moore, and Rashee Rice. Then you have McBride and Kelsey and Kincaid. So you have 3 tight ends on this team. 3 good tight ends, but 3 tight ends. Okay. He isn't going to do Eckler and Waddle for Amon-Ra and Jacobs. I've already tried. Okay. Well, just because he's not going to do it doesn't mean it's necessarily a good deal for you. So Eckler, Waddle, Debo for Swift, Amon-Ra, and Jacobs. So you're going to get 2 running backs and 1 wide receiver. And going back to your roster, so you're going to get 2 running backs. You got Javonte, and then you're going to get B-Rob. So you're going to get 2 running backs to add to those 2 guys. You'll lose Eckler. Then you're going to have Puka. Yeah, so you're going to be giving up Waddle. So you're going to and Debo. So you're going to have Puka, Elijah Moore, Rashee Rice, and Amon-Ra. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Because you're going to have 1 receiver. I probably wouldn't do it. He said, unless I take Swift, Kincaid, I can't see the last one here. I can't see the last one that you sent to me because of this wonderful thing that pops up. Oh, now I can see it. Unless I take Swift, Kincaid, and go get Chris Olave. My wide receivers. Oh, no, you would have Chase. Pardon me. You would have Chase. I forgot about that. So you'd have Chase, Amon-Ra, and Puka. And Puka is subject to what we were just talking about, which is who his quarterback is going to be. If Matty Stafford continues to be hampered by injury, which God willing he isn't, would just need that flex filled. So, okay, so I forgot about that. So you would have Chase and Amon-Ra, and you'd have a ton of running backs. And you only have 1 flex, I'm guessing, based on our conversation, T-Money? Is that safe to say you have 1 flex? So, because it's 8-man. So, oh no, you have 2. What does it say? No, you have 2 flex. Okay. So, for argument's sake, your starters would be Burrow, Kelsey, B-Rob, and okay. All right. So you're going to lose Debo, but you're going to have Amon-Ra, and you're going to have Chase. Then you're going to Charbonnet, who's in the back seat. Elijah Moore, who's not really significant at the moment. Rashee Rice, who's up and down. Okay. Yeah, Matty Stafford right now, and he was talking about Matt Stafford's health. He's questionable with the thumb injury. If he's able to go and go for the whole season, the rest of the season, I should say, then it's not a bad play. He is expected to play. It's just whether or not he's 100%. And again, we're talking about a hand injury. So let's see what they said here. Head coach Sean McVay said, quote, he's making great progress, and so we're operating with the anticipation and expectation that he's going to be good to go. He'll be pushing through, but we expect him to be able to start and play and do his thing and lead the way this week, end quote. Stafford injured his UCL and his thumb back in Week 8. The Rams went with Brent Ripien in Week 9. The organization ended up moving on from the backup, brought in Carson Wentz. McVay went on to say, quote, we feel good about Matthew returning, and obviously when he's out there, you feel great about the leadership and everything that he provides. But God forbid if something were to happen where he weren't available, felt like this would be an opportunity for somebody that's played a lot of high-level football to get him in here and get him kind of familiar with some of the things that we're doing, end quote, speaking of Carson Wentz. Okay. So I mean, yeah, I don't mind having Puka the way that you have Puka. So I don't mind him being out there if Stafford comes back and stays back. I would be much more apt for you to try and trade one of your tight ends and keep Debo, because you have 3 tight ends, and I don't think you need all 3. That's probably the best bet of everything I'm looking at here. T-Money is I would look at maybe trying to mix it, not Kelsey, but look to try to mix in one of your tight ends or Elijah Moore and trade it that way. I would not trade Debo. Just because somebody's not willing to do something doesn't mean that you should do it. You know, he might not be willing to trade, but that doesn't mean there's not other suitors out there for you. So I would try to stay away from trading Debo at the moment and work in Elijah Moore or one of your other tight ends. I would look to that. We got to go to Sunday and Monday Night Football. I just gave you the Rams, and the Rams, like I said, I like Puka and Cooper Kupp of putting them out there, but I feel better if Matt Stafford's out there. Team Money said it's a competitive league, so it's hard because he has Kittle. Well, look at what other people have. You know, look at what other people have. See what else is there for you before you go and make this trade. You know, don't make the trade easier for him and harder for you is what I'm saying. I know you want to make a move, but don't make the trade easier for him and harder for you is my best advice. We'll take a step aside for our final fast break. We'll be back right after this to give you Sunday and Monday Night Football and wrap up this edition of Fantasy Football in Focus. A very busy edition thanks to all of your incredible questions and thoughts on fantasy football from all over the country. Thank you so much. NFL Week 11, 2023-24 season, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, is Fantasy Football in Focus.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks available to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Head off to GG Cards and Breaks. It's perfect with us talking about fantasy football. You get into the sports that you love. You love your players. You love your teams. And so you would obviously love to have a piece of their jersey or their autograph or their rookie card. And you can get all of that by going to GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open 7 days a week. You could find them Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. GG Cards and Breaks, an incredible place for you to start your sports card hobby or to continue it on. It is the same hobby, new memories at GG Cards and Breaks. Baseball, football, soccer, basketball, hockey, as well as Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and the new Disney Lorcana. Get it all at GG Cards and Breaks, as well as all of their new product that's going to be coming in. There's some awesome things that are going to be hitting the shelves at GG Cards and Breaks in the not too distant future. So I would suggest not only going today, but making sure you make it a habit of going back every week. GG Cards and Breaks, let them know that Wake Up Call sent you, or you could say DT sent me to make it even easier. At 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Head out there today. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, T-Money, I appreciate the questions. I would look at trading. Just show me what the final trade looks like, but I would work in Elijah Moore or one of your other tight ends not named Kelsey and then assess it and see if somebody else wants to make a trade. You know, it's not a bad trade. It was not a bad trade, and I took a lot of thought into the trade 2 for 2, but 3 for 2 or pardon me, the three for the one that you presented to me with the additions here, I don't like you giving up what you're giving up necessarily, because it makes you slim on wide receiver. So I would just, give me your final thoughts. Happy to help. Love the questions. Love the content here, because that's what I'm all about here is let's talk about fantasy. Let's have real life conversations about your fantasy teams and what can we do to help make them better. So always looking to have these questions come in. I appreciate it, T-Money, but see what other people have, and if you get it, better trade somewhere else. And like I said, my best advice to you is just because the person on the other end doesn't want to do the trade you want to do, don't add somebody in to make the trade easier for him and harder for you. Sunday Night Football, folks, this game is going to be a lot better than you anticipated it was probably going to be at the start of the season. Minnesota with Josh Dobbs is running. Denver is finally starting to look like the Denver that people were hoping for 2 years ago. The Minnesota Vikings under Josh Dobbs, man, this guy is talented. Hopefully the Minnesota Vikings have his jersey in the team store, because allegedly Arizona did not. And that's crazy to me. Starting quarterback don't have his jersey in the team store? Come on now. So hopefully there is the opportunity to buy it in Minnesota's team store. And, beyond that, taking a look at what we have here for the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings, for me, looking at their season right now and where they're currently at, the Minnesota Vikings, for me, have the talent. They definitely have the talent. Unfortunately, when Justin Jefferson went out, you have to deal with that affecting your team. And you also have to deal with the fact that, with that affecting your team and then losing your quarterback, there's issues that arise that you have no control over. And those issues that have arisen in Minnesota have been challenging and frustrating. But bringing in Josh Dobbs and drafting a guy like Jordan Addison, there's been some help that has definitely been there for this team. And I'm happy to see that the Minnesota Vikings have some positives to look forward to. So with that being said, as we get into it here and take a look at how they played most recently against the Saints, they won at home 27-19. And Josh Dobbs was 23 of 34, 268 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Ty Chandler led the way on the ground, 15 carries, 45 yards and a touchdown. Madison, 8 carries, 27 yards, no touchdowns. I haven't been sold on him yet since he came into the league. I just haven't been sold on him yet. And I'm not saying that like personally. I'm just saying when people were like, oh, Delvin Cook's down, he's the guy. I'm like, well, he's the guy because he has to be the guy. But is he necessarily going to be the guy? And he hasn't proven to me that he is the guy, even without Delvin Cook. T.J. Hawkinson's continued to play well, including with Josh Dobbs as the quarterback. Jordan Addison, he's doing some good things with Dobbs as well. So they've been able to be serviceable and move the ball forward. And being beyond that, they've been competitive beyond being just simply serviceable. On Denver's side, the Denver Broncos have been fun to watch, at least in the last 3 weeks. And I would argue the last 4 weeks, because when I was down in New York City for New York Comic-Con for one of my other shows, Superpowered Pop, they held the Chiefs under 20, 19-8, and they were in the game toward the end. The Broncos just went on the road and beat the Bills. Bills beat themselves too. But Russell Wilson, 24 of 29 against the Bills. 193 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Javonte, 21 carries, 79 yards, 3.8 yards a carry. Cortland Sutton, 11 targets, 8 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Samaje Perine coming out of it, 3 catches in the backfield on 3 targets, 35 yards. Javonte Williams had 4 catches on 4 targets. One of them was for a touchdown out of the backfield. Judy, 3 catches on 3 targets. Team's moving. I think this Sunday Night Football might be the most exciting Sunday Night Football game that we've seen all season. So, who do you play in this matchup? Dobbsy? I got him as a low-end QB1. I don't think he's terrible. I really don't. Alexander Madison going through concussion protocol. God willing, he'll be okay. Ty Chandler had to take over. Ty Chandler taking over in this game. I got him as a running back, probably 3 or 4, probably a 4. Jordan Addison, I have him as a wide receiver 2. TJ Hockenson, I have him as a tight end 1. On the other side, Russell Wilson, I got him still as a quarterback 2. I got Javonte Williams as an RB1. I have Jerry Jeudy as a 2. Cortland Sutton as a wide receiver. Probably them both as a 2, but I have Cortland Sutton as a high 2. Jerry as a mid 2. So I think Cortland Sutton's worth the play. I think Javonte's worth the play. I think Jerry Jeudy is worth the look to play. Jordan Addison's worth the play. TJ Hawkins is worth the play. And Josh Dobbs is potentially worth the look as well. Last one we're going to give you here is Philadelphia at Kansas City. A replay of the Super Bowl, maybe. We'll see how it shakes out. But definitely an opportunity for the rivalry, or for the Super Bowl, to be watched again this season, with obviously some changes that have happened with these teams and whatnot. But Philadelphia's at Kansas City. Jalen Hurts is hurt. He's questionable with a knee injury. So just make sure you watch that. I'm going to take a look right now at the most recent injury report, because I want to make sure that we get the most up-to-date things every time we do the broadcast. So as of 17 hours ago, let's take a look at this. So within the last 24 hours, he's been playing with a banged-up knee over the last 5 games. His injury hasn't affected him in the pocket. It could hold him back from running. So we're taking a look at this. I'm going to try to see if there's any extra notes here. Nothing there. Let's see. So he's managing the pain of his knee, but he's still playing. So if Hurts is able to go, play Hurts. DeAndre Swift, play him. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, play them too. Dallas Goedert, he is doubtful with a forearm injury, so Jack Stoll could be taking over here. He is a sneaky play at tight end if you need to put somebody out there. On the other side of it, I would play Pat Mahomes. Isaiah Pacheco, I got him as a RB2. Rashee Rice is the number 1 guy right now in, again, a crowded receiving core where nobody really sticks out. It's Travis Kelce. I mean, Travis Kelce's the number 1 receiver on the team. He's been the number 1 receiver on the team, and without Tyreek Hill the last couple seasons, he is definitely not having the type of competition to go and take that from him against the Dolphins, where they won 21-14 in Germany. To go back and look at that game, Noah Gray only had 3 catches. He led the team. It was spread out everywhere. Noah Gray, 3 catches. Sky Moore, Jerick McKinnon, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Rashee Rice, Justin Watson, 2 catches. Travis Kelce, 3 catches. McCall Hardman, 3 catches. Kadarius Toney, 1 catch. So, I mean, they're winning by committee, essentially. So it's not easy for me to tell you what receiver to put out there. Where Philly's got 2 big guys, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, in fantasy, Kansas City's got a bunch of let's throw everything at the wall and see if we could do this together. So Travis Kelce, definitely worth the play. Pat Mahomes and Isaiah Pacheco as a running back, 2. The other guys are 1s. So with that being said, your questions have been answered, hopefully. If you have more questions, send them off to me. Happy to answer those questions. Happy to help you out wherever we can. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Facebook X and Instagram. The former Twitter is now called X. So you could find us Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. We're live Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. Today we gave you a lot of bonus time. YouTube.com/Wake Up Call DT, Facebook.com /Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com for our live feed Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And of course, a big thanks to our incredible partners in the community, Carvel DeWitt, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the Wildcat Sports Pub, as well as GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay. 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant. In downtown Syracuse, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, PB&J's Lunchbox, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, where you can go and order my sandwich any day of the week. Go and get the Cuse McMother at Mother's Cupboard 7 days a week on 3709 James Street in Syracuse. Open 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. daily. Get my take on the breakfast sandwich: bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and eat it like a sandwich, or eat it with syrup, or pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. You can also go and get my sundae at Carvel DeWitt to honor the Lemoyne College Dolphins. You can go and get the DT Dolphin today. Mint chocolate chip, green ice cream for those Dolphins, topped off with hot fudge, whipped cream, and a cherry, as well as green and gold sprinkles and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. On Wednesdays, it's buy one, get one, so you can bring a friend or a family member or a date and get 2 DT Dolphins on Wednesdays for the price of 1. So go out and do that today. And a big-time shout-out to the fantastic newest addition to our family, North Star Nutrition and Nutrition Wave in Cicero. We have been able to do so much in such a little period of time. And the day that my drink came out, you ordered it. And the day before the drink came out, you ordered it before it was even officially on the menu. Thanks for going and getting the mic drop, my tea, pomegranate, blueberry, blackberry, strawberry, and watermelon mixed into one. Go and get that today. We got another question coming in here for fantasy, so I'm going to touch on it quickly. Steven says Andrews or McBride. Also, I need help. Need 2 and a flex. Dell Collins, Noah Brown, Deontay Johnson, A-Chain, thank you. So, Steve, I want to, first and foremost, thank you for tuning into the broadcast. Secondly, I want to implore you to go ahead and make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another live show again. So make sure to subscribe while you're here and send us a like and a little notification bell love, and let us know where you hail from so that we can shout out your hometown. And to answer your question, Andrews or McBride, Andrews. I need help. Need 2 and a flex. Dell Collins, Noah Brown, Deontay Johnson, A-Chain. So you need 2 and a flex. Well, I would say Dell, already subscribed, thank you. And you're coming to us from Maryland. Big shout out to Maryland. So you should already know if you're in Maryland, it's Andrews. Come on now. Got to play Mark Andrews. So I would say you need 2 and a flex. So we got Dell, we got Nico Collins, Noah Brown, Deontay Johnson, A-Chain. Okay, so I'm going to say you need 2 and a flex of what you gave me. Tank Dell, Deontay Johnson. Your flex is A-Chain. That's what I would say as of right now. As of right now, in the certain health of certain players, I'm going to go in certain situations. I'm going to say Dell, Deontay, flex out A-Chain. If you have any more questions, make sure you send them off and make sure you continue to follow us. Thank you, Stephen, for subscribing, and shout out to the great state of Maryland, Michigan, and where everybody's hailed from that's jumped in today and shown us some love. What I was saying about North Star Nutrition as well as Nutrition Wave in Cicero is you can go to any one of those locations. North Star Nutrition on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse by Utica Pizza, or to Nutrition Wave if you're out Cicero way, 6197 Route 31 in Cicero. You can order my drink, which is called the Mic Drop. And you can get the Mic Drop, which is the colors of the Toronto Raptors and Arizona Diamondbacks, 2 of my favorite teams. Go and get the Mic Drop today. It is a healthy tea. It gives you positives as opposed to negatives. There is some caffeine in it, but there's also vitamins and aloe. If you put more caffeine, there's vitamins, aloe, and it helps with focus. And if you put the most amount of caffeine in there, which is still under a lot of those energy drinks out there, you will get the aloe, the vitamins, the focus, and you will have help in your digestive system with metabolism help there as well. So these are teas that taste fantastic. They also help you in different ways depending on what you need. So go and get the Mic Drop today. Pomegranate, blueberry, blackberry, strawberry, and watermelon all mixed into one awesome tea, available exclusively at North Star Nutrition and Nutrition Wave in Cicero. The Lemoyne Moines College Dolphins are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find exclusive content with us all throughout the year. And this is our third year of being the exclusive multimedia marketing partner with Lemoyne. Under promise, over deliver. We've already given you more this week in the last few weeks than we had promised to give, and I'm very happy to do that. AD and DT featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, typically coming to you on Wednesdays during Dolphin time on the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Second and fourth Wednesday, you get the Dolphin Dive, but we've under-promised and over-delivered with many Dolphin Dive specials that have come up to you. Student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni joining the show inside of the Dolphin Dive. All of our content is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you will find the Lemoyne playlist there. You can also find Lemoyne on WakeUpCallDT.com by going under the exclusive partners tab on our website. And for more information on your Dolphins, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. As always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month, having the wonderful conversations with student athletes, coaches, and administration. We just had the selection show carried through us live for the men's soccer team and the women's soccer team. Exclusive interviews with men's soccer head coach Nick Dimitrievsky and women's soccer head coach Alex Grigorita of Bryan and Stratton Syracuse, as well as having exclusive clips of their conversations to their teams on Selection Show Day and the live feed of the Selection Show, and finding out that the women are the number 1 seed in the nation and the men are the number 2 seed in the nation. You can find all of that on our channels. You can also find my conversations with the baseball team, men's and women's basketball, and everything that we have done, including our conversation with Mary Hawkins, who is on staff with the Bryan and Stratton Syracuse administration, and she did a roundtable discussion, rapid fire with the coaches. We also did board games with the coaches, and we played Jenga and Gestures and split us up and had some fun with that as well. So find all of our really cool Bobcat Buzz content that you won't find anywhere else by subscribing to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Hit the notification bell, and you'll find the playlist on our YouTube channel entitled BSC Syracuse, so you can check out all of our Bobcat content. You can also find their page on wakeupcalldt.com underneath exclusive partners. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and as always, go Bobcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call, I want to thank Bob Beretta, the AD of Lemoyne, for joining me for our exclusive segment, AD and DT. I want to thank Dave Klein for joining me at a very difficult time to be candid and to tell the truth and to tell his story as he resigned from CNS as their head football coach. And a big time thanks to the Wildcat Sports Pub for all that they do and for being able to bring you fantasy football in focus every single week the way that we do it. So many thanks, much love. Thank you to everybody around the country and the world that's watching and listening. Thank you for all of your questions that made this an extremely awesome and fruitful day of fantasy football advice and conversation. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful week to continue. I can't wait to talk with you soon. God bless. No